Welcome to the Mystery Font. Now presenting a special report from the Mystery Font, a distillation of a broadcast from October 20th, 2023, and now presenting this special report of news and analysis from Mystery Font 42. We are the reality distortion fielding. It is incredibly dangerous for anyone in a democracy to give entire confidence to a leader. When we, with people that we do not trust, make an agreement, such as a nuclear arms deal, there's a saying: trust, but verify. And this is the time that we verify we have the ability to say no to Donald Trump and limit his danger and volatility that he cannot or will not control to a small area of protest that will not harm anyone else's life. Now is the time when we trust and verify that we are safe by recognizing that we are sanctioning the false idea that Donald Trump has absolute authority and power already if we do not put him in jail for launching an attack against a prosecutor. He has already crossed lines like this, but he has been warned and specifically limited in these ways that anyone would have to obey. These are basic tenets of human decency, and if we do not arrest him, we are submitting to him now. We must not give submission to a narcissistic, dark triad predator. We know that he is a sexual predator. We know that he targeted, with his own malice and the full power of the presidency of the United States, that Donald Trump targeted human beings doing the work of American democracy. There is no excuse and no coming back for Donald Trump from threatening and stalking and terrorizing the lives of Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss. What they have had to endure and still endure is an abomination. And if we had any self-respect at all, we would have ejected him from any possibility of running for office already. Because that stalking, terrorizing, racist, criminal campaign against those honest, hardworking, honorable election workers for the United States of America, that was an insurrection against 2 American citizens. And there is no way that's acceptable. I give you good reasons why he should be in jail now. If the point is that we're afraid of what he'll do, then what we're listening to is our voice saying, no, we can't say no to you. And that's the voice of a broken, submitted self. That's the voice inside of a body that has given up. But just because he grabbed our private parts and told us they weren't ours anymore, just because we have been degraded to be a victim and have submitted in myriad ways, doesn't mean that we can't wake up. Just because Dr. Huxtable is telling us it's not cool to be woke, just because Elon Musk is telling us that human kindness, that wokeness is a mind virus, doesn't mean that we have to buckle and give up hope. We are the reality distortion fielding. The news is that we are in danger and that we can make a significant step forward to creating safe boundaries for the future of humanity and our habitat by apprehending the falsehood donor known as Donald Trump for numerous crimes, but specifically for after having been warned to abate his terroristic threats, to move forward with further threats. He has crossed a line that would put anyone in jail and should. So if he's anyone and not the over one, he needs to be in jail now. That's the news. Either America, we agree that Donald Trump gets to do whatever he wants and do whatever he wants to do any of us, whenever. That we agree that he has absolute authority and we submit to him. Or we say, no! No one talks to the United States of America like that, and no one talks to Americans like that. You don't talk that way to election workers. You don't talk that way to an officer who pulls you over. You don't talk that way to someone who says you are being charged with a crime. You comply. You have been pulled over, Donald Trump, for using the power of your office and your platform to assault, menace, and attempt murder in broad daylight, period. He needs to be under arrest for the crimes we see committed that anyone gets put into jail for. So what is it? Because the question is here. The news is the question. Have we submitted to Donald Trump and that's the end of it? What say you? Or are we going to pick our self-respect up out from under the mat, stained with rotten filth? Are we going to pick up our self-respect and say, no one talks to us like that? No one targets our courts and our nation like that. No one degrades our expectations of fact and truth and honor like that. No one degrades Americans like that, and no one degrades America like that. Isn't it time that that's what we find our voice to say? Or that we find our voice at all anyway? We are in an abusive relationship with someone cultivating MAGA, re-trader greed. And America, the new Colossus, will be woke. Being awake is how we know we're not being compromised. We don't need to be awake 24 hours a day, but being woke means we're able to take care of one another. It means we're able to communicate about our own needs so that if we need help, we can say something. It means that if I couldn't breathe, that someone wouldn't be on my neck telling me I don't need to hear whether or not you can breathe. It means we treat human beings as human beings. We are being forced, coerced to believe demonstrable falsehoods. We are being coerced to accept the idea that we cannot say no. We are being coerced to accept a candidate who is not a legitimate candidate because he already sowed insurrection. And by holding the weapon of the insurrection, the big lie that he still says is real and that he has evidence for, holding that up, knowing that's where he was able to gin violence, holding that up and saying he's coming back, that he did nothing wrong and that he's coming back. The end of that song is that it's an attack. You don't poop in the soup and get fired for it and come back saying I did nothing wrong. He pooped in your family's soup. He will do worse. He has already promised to. It won't just be poop. George W. Bush, who did a good deal of terrorizing himself, never went to the full dark triad predator level that Donald Trump has got to. But he was famous for saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on I never get fooled. He messed it up. But it was a multiple part issue. And that cultivated the idea that there are mulligans for atrocities. And the thing is, no. As a message to Marguerite Trader Greed, as a message to Marjorie Taylor Greene, to Carrie Lake, to Alex Jones, to Ron DeSantis, to Elon Musk. No. No. No one talks that way to us. No. Your terrorism is visible. And the answer is no. Donald, you pooped in the soup. And now you just pooped on the front stoop of someone prosecuting you. That's an oops. And the rhyme, the truism we need to get to here is this. If you poop in the soup once, there's no part two for another number two, because we saw how you do. So the truism goes like this. If you cheat America once, shame on you, and there's no part two. A country with any self-respect wouldn't have let him run when he told us he would keep us in suspense about leaving when we asked. We would have said, pull the trap door. Thank you very much. Good night. But now we've seen how he does. He told us he would keep us in suspense, and then he suspended us and tried to crush that oath and that watch into a scepter. And he's still holding that mangled watch, that mangled scepter that he crushed from an oath that he swore. He's still holding that weapon. Holding the weapon of insurrection, holding the weapon of the big lie, saying it's true and saying he did nothing wrong in causing violent and clerical insurrection, proves he's coming back for an attack. So the news from the mystery font, the analysis today, is that we cannot wait for an election to say no to an attack. He has told us and shown us what he will do in 24 already once before. And he's already promised to make it hurt more. We need to gather the memory that we are in charge. We are the presidents because we choose a president to hold the watch. Think about what the first person called con artist was known for cultivating a cult of personality and of being savvy, the savvy New Yorker who went up to people and said, hey, say, oh, I love your collar too. Oh, and those great shoes. My watch is broken. You'd give me your watch, obviously. I mean, I would give you mine. I have such confidence in you. I know you're a sharp one. I can see I would. So you, of course, you wouldn't mind parting with your watch. You would give me the watch, wouldn't you? And isn't this what a politician says? That they will give us the watch back if we give it to them? Will you have the confidence in me to give me the watch? I'll stand on the wall. I'll be in charge of the people who stand on the wall and tell me if there's a storm coming. Tell me if there's something wrong. Tell me if there's a contagion. They'll tell me, and I'll know what to do. I'll know how to tell you. Maybe the person who failed to tell us that COVID would kill us until it had started murdering us by the thousands, when he was told in time to stop it from ever coming here, had a different priority than America first. Maybe, as we know, he leverages things for himself. And maybe we know that someone with any cloud of suspicion over themselves should never have even asked us if they might run again. And he didn't ask. The man who smeared blood and shit in the nation's capital and attacked our family after being ejected, told us he did nothing wrong, and now is knocking on the door saying he's going to make an honest member of the family of us. We get to say no and file a restraining order. So the news in conclusion is this: we are in danger unless we recognize that we have not only the capacity to say no and hold our boundaries, but that it's not going to be hell out there without this abuser who won't leave. It's going to be better. And we deserve to be able to say no and to hold and protect our own consent. We deserve to have an actual democracy here. The news is Donald Trump has just challenged America to hold him accountable for a crime for which people should be placed under arrest, and having challenged us again and again and literally grabbed our nation's private parts after threatening to do it, and telling us he already declassified them with his mind, and that he was right to do it, and that he wasn't wrong, and that they should be given back to him because he has absolute authority, has just challenged us to a fight. And by sowing stochastic terror against the prosecutor, there are more little murderers like Kyle Rittenhouse who will jump out and do malice and menace and murder because of falsehoods. The fog of permuting, perverting falsehood, spewed chiefly by Donald Trump, endangers us all. And now we have a clear responsibility, more than just an opportunity in this crisis. We have a responsibility to secure the nation's very worth, self-respect, and safety. He has told us he has absolute authority, and he just tried to physically tell us it is so. He is trying to motion with his arm such that it turns into a person who does damage for him. And the news is we need to say no now, and we need to say no as a population of people. Whether we are writing letters or sending videos or gathering peacefully, we need to say no to Donald Trump and his band of neo-Nazi thugs and grifters now. It is an existential threat to democracy that we face. The falsehood shows up in every party, and we have a lot to hold Biden accountable for. We have a lot to hold more honorable politicians to account for. We have an ocean, more than one ocean, to save from collapse. And moving fascists trying to start lynch mobs out of the public square and into either healthcare or detention for their crimes is the step that we're at now. This is what I offer from the Mystery Font, 42, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's time to say no to the falsehood. Thank you. The falsehood will tell you it's the falsehood will tell you it's the one and only. We are